Welcome to A Lunchtime Conversation. Okay, are you ready for this?
Ready.
Check. Test. Oh, yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Okay, this is going to be the best-selling book series, and you guys are going to put poll calls through it to see if you would actually like it or listen to it or watch it or if you would enjoy it. So here's the plot. There's a boy on a planet. It's a medieval type planet. It's not Earth. But that's where they're kind of at. But it's also a fantasy type planet. There's magic, there's dragons, there's all sorts of stuff. And it's not like heavily magic fantasy. Like there's not crazy magicians doing crazy stuff. It's more Game of Thrones-esque where it happens, but not very often. There's a boy, he wants to become an assassin. Typical story. This part is typical story. He wants to become assassin, goes to the assassin school, starts to figure stuff out, starts to become an assassin, doesn't know if he likes the kingdom he's working for, so he's dealing with some of that. And this is all book one. But at the very end of book one, it's a really fun book about him going through school, figuring out this stuff. Then
It's a Harry Potter story, but for assassins.
Kind of, yeah. And so he gets at the end of book one where he's graduated, he's doing missions for his country, and he's starting to have some conflicting, like, man, I don't know if I believe what my country's doing. Like, I thought they were the good guys, and they might be the bad guys. And so that's some of the turmoil you're seeing and that you're attracted to. But at the end of the book one, you find out that this is just a TV series. And this planet is in some type of solar system with some type of dark matter that's able to make this go by this solar system time go by much faster so that they can clip video clips and then air it to other people in other solar systems. So it's just a huge TV series on other planets. The catch is that he's a real human. 95% of people on the planet are real humans, but the dragons are robots. Some of the wizards are robots. Some of the other assassins are robots. And that's where they get their magical power, is they're like super sophisticated robots. And that's how they film everything too. There's a fly flying around, but it's just a camera taking video footage and audio footage.
So I might have missed it. Does he know that he's in it?
No, he doesn't. And so at the end of book one, he starts to figure this out.
So it's very Black Mirror-y of like,
oh yeah.
Oh, I like
so
it.
at the end of book one, he gets contacted by another solar system that's like, dude, we don't agree with this. There's thousands of innocent human beings being killed on this planet because it's cheap money.
Just a TV show.
Just for a TV show. So he gets contacted at the end of book one, and it's like, hey, do you want to help fight back against this? But we got to be very careful because this is some sophisticated technology. And then book two goes into him still working as an assassin, but starting to hopefully build up some people to fight back at this huge TV series that's being filmed on his planet that's killing thousands of innocent people just for views, and then starts to dive into some of that.
Then the final plot twist is the entire book series was planned.
Oh, dude, that's good.
What do you mean?
That's good.
What do you mean the whole?
So it was planned that he would get.
He realizes he's actually in a book, and the book was pre-written, and he goes, "Oh shit!" So it's not just a play on the TV series. It's like, oh, I was in a book for a TV.
No, you guys are ruining my book. I don't like that.
I'm just kidding.
Where I was going was him getting contacted that this is all for a TV series was part of the plot.
Yeah.
Oh,
for the
part
TV
of the TV series.
So he can't
See what
decipher
happened.
what's real and what's not, what he's being manipulated with.
Oh, and that does get very Westworld-like because
Does it?
it's like,
Yeah.
are you part of it or are you not part of it? Were you supposed to discover this or not? That is interesting.
Anyway, going back to the original.
So do you like it?
I don't know, man. Like, okay, let me think about this as like.
And I think what's intriguing about it, while you're thinking about it, is that like the first, I would want this to be tight-lipped with the producers or the.
Well, you just
the book
told
or
everybody what the
I know,
hell's going on.
I know. You guys you're on my team, but say it's a TV series. I want it to be so tight-lipped that it's just here's a fantasy series. And at the end of season one, it's almost like the Red Wedding, where it's like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. They just killed half the main characters. But this would be this is a sci-fi series. This has nothing to do with magic and fantasy. Like,
that would be the problem.
oh, really?
Yes.
You wouldn't like that?
Well, would I don't know, but the people that would read the book or watch the show is like, ooh, I like fantasy.
So
you're in
like
too
this.
deep at that point. You're invested.
And then at the end, you're like, oh, that sucks.
that is true.
But I think that the majority of your audience would be, I like fantasy. I'll try this new book out. I'll try this new show out. And I'll check it out. And then at the end, when it turns into like you go to space and like there's a
TV series
show and a TV series, then you're like,
do Black Mirror.
So,
I could see that.
But then that might actually turn into a cult classic. People are like, oh no shit, I'll check that out.
Yeah,
and then that might be pretty good. I think there would have to be more like in the middle of it,
of book 1 or season 1,
to kind of clue you in that something's really weird. Like it's a fantasy, but the fly that's the camera dies. Like they go to kill one, and it like
there's a little electric spark.
Oh,
okay.
And then you're like, oh, it's just magic.
So there's like subtle
It's just
background
magic.
things that you rewatch it or reread it.
Yeah.
See, and
so
I would
then
be okay with that.
You get out of the fantasy a little bit and say, there's something weird going on here.
Interesting. Okay.
That would be a decent way of doing that.
Yeah,
Not enough.
Or like when they
enough.
kill a dragon and there's just like the internals are a little bit weird. Because that's how on
But if
Westworld.
it's
people
super
come by.
advanced, it would be humanistic.
And that's the thing on Westworld, they get so advanced that it is all like the whole thing is human, except for inside the brain, there's one little ball inside the brain that's the computer chip. Everything else is 100%
organically grown.
Organically grown.
Can't tell the difference.
And that's how I think this would be, is there would be like a dragon and they would find, and that's, I think I agree with that. That would be fun to leak stuff somewhere. Be like, why is there like a metal ball in the middle of the dragon's head? And that would just be like at the end of the episode, they'd be like, I don't know, let's move on. And it's just like Dragon Slayers, I don't care. And it's something small.
And then at the end, you can do like one of those Saw reveals. That intense music starts and they start explaining everything. Yes, I love that shit. Dude, at the end of Saw, love it. When it gets intense, you can do that.
Where he stands up and he's like, it's not all along.
Yeah, and then that music
he
starts.
walks out.
No. Well, yeah.
See, now I feel left out because I've never seen
You've
Saw.
never seen Saw?
It's a good twist at the end.
But don't they explain why they're in the prison? Because Saw is like they put them in a situation for a reason.
Yeah.
So you're telling me at the end of the movie they explain why they're there.
So a lot of times in the movie, they first off they explain why they're there in the first place.
Oh, okay.
But there's an overarching story between each movie and between like what's happened.
The first one did it the best.
First one did it really good. Second and third though still did it fucking fantastic.
They like
but at the end, essentially, it's like it's climaxing and this iconic Saw music starts and it gets really freaking intense. And then they start like explaining everything through dialogue and through showing. Then it just goes like, oh my God, really? Like that's when the twist,
everything just clicks.
That's when the twist happens. And then at the end of the first one is when like one of the biggest twists happen. And the dude that's dead in the middle stands up. You thought he's been dead the whole time, but it shows that he walked in there and he had his apprentice like set things up and he took this pill that slows his heart rate to near zero. And he's in the middle of like these two people like battling and surviving. And at the end, he just stands up and says, "You failed." And he shuts the door, essentially killing him. And it was like, oh my God.
Interesting.
That was sick.
It's got a good twist. But back to your thing, I love Black Mirror enough to the point where anything that has a twist with my psychology, and like I think I know what's going on, but then when it flips it on me and I'm like, oh shit, and you can do it in a way where I didn't see it coming.
Yes.
I love that stuff.
And I think the reason it would be popular is because Game of Thrones, what it did differently is no one was sacred. The guy that's on the cover of season 1 dies at the end of it. Yeah. And he's like a main character. And so I think Game of Thrones broke this
plot armor.
Yes, where it's like, hey, everyone has to live. It's like, no, nothing's sacred.
You're never going to know what's going to happen.
And that's what I think would be fun about this is because everyone, it would be fantasy people, but I think fantasy people would be willing to accept it because of things like Game of Thrones. They're like, yep, sometimes we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the series.
Yeah, it might be that just enough different that
people would like it.
It's like a new genre, type thing where, yeah.
I think it'd be really entertaining. I think it could be a good book. It could be a good movie. I think even a video game where it's just like you're playing as this character and then like there's little things that happen. And at the end of like level 15 or something, you're like, oh shit. So I'm not learning about magic. I'm learning about artificial intelligence and how I have nanobots. And that's what they didn't give me a potion that gave me magic. They gave me a potion that gave me nanobots. And that's why I can blend in a little bit more.
Have you ever played Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
Where the worst parts about Assassin's Creed was where you went to
Get out of the
you get out of the animus.
True.
Yeah.
And you go to this sci-fi thing. I was like,
what is the machine called?
The animus.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was like the worst. I was like, what the hell is this? I want Assassin's Creed in a warehouse in New Jersey.
True.
Yes. I want to be jumping through buildings in Italy.
And I think that's the difference is he would never go back to New Jersey. He would always be on this planet trying to help people out. And because that's what I think would be cool about it. I've actually tried to think of like more of a plot with it and plan out like chapters and stuff, but it's something that's more just fun to do. I don't think I'd ever have time to like, unless I win the lottery and I'm bored.
It,
yeah, exactly. More storyboard it. Okay. Well, I pitched it to you guys and you're
it sounds like we're a hard maybe.
I like it.
He's a yes. You're a hard maybe.
Hard maybe.
I think you could do it really well in the video game sense, mainly because I'm a gamer. But imagine you're playing Skyrim, right? And you're reading books to learn shit. You're killing stuff, eating stuff. One day you bite into an apple, but it doesn't taste like an apple. It's like rotten in the middle. It's not. What is this? Rotten apple? Throw it to the side. And you're reading a book the next day. It's not actually a book. It's just squiggly lines. There's actually not any writing in it because you're saving space. You don't want to have to take time to write all that shit because it's just a prop in this story. You weren't supposed to eat that apple. You weren't supposed to read that specific book. You weren't supposed to go down that trail. I think in a certain video game aspect, you could go, you find a cave and you're exploring it and you're like,
but then it hits a metal wall.
Yeah. You're like, what is this locked door here?
Why is this metal?
Yeah, exactly. Or something just.
It's like futuristic looking metal.
Yeah. So there's these weird things everywhere, hard to find.
I'm just trying to think of the gameplay. And it just doesn't seem like it plays out.
So I think that's what would be fun about the series is it wouldn't change much, but you would just start to realize the magic you're doing is actually, like I said, so you drink a potion at the end of like your assassin training that helps you blend in with shadows a little bit better. And it's like a thing you drink it and it'll help like shadows form around you better. All it is little nanobots that are able to
the light and bend the light.
Yeah. Be able to reflect the light. So it'd still be the same thing. You'd still have the same powers. You just learn that the purpose of it is technology and not magic. I'll write it and then we'll see what happens. I'll waste 10,000 hours writing a book to find out that it bombs.
And you're like, I don't want to release this. Thanks for listening today. We hope that you take this back to your friends and your family and have these same conversations.
You can catch us at A Lunchtime Conversation on Instagram and A Lunchtime Conversation on Facebook and on Twitter. Or X, it is A Lunchtime Convo.
We'd love to hear from you, and maybe we'll use you guys on a future episode.